Today we'll be discussing possibly one of my favorite cameras. This is my Mamiya C330. It is a TLR, otherwise known as a twin lens reflex. Uses a leaf shutter in this lower lens here. Really quickly though, because I have the back off because I want to redo the seal on it, and I want to put this down so I don't have to hold both of these things. This is the back of the camera, and as you can see here, there are two different pressure options for the plate. So if you're shooting a load of 220 film, you have the red dot there. If you're shooting 120, you put it there. Medium format is the same size, but 220 film is like basically double the amount of exposures as 120. So it requires a different amount of pressure to hold the film on place against the film plane here. So I'm going to put that down for now. Let's get back into the camera. Right now I have a 80mm 2.8 lens on here. On the sides you have this front ring is your aperture control. You have anywhere from 32 to 2.8, and over here you have your shutter speed controls, bulb all the way to 1/500th of a second. Now, I discussed this in an earlier video, but with a leaf shutter like this, where the shutter itself is in the lens, the fastest it can fire is 1/500th of a second. That's just physics, I think, or I think it's physics. Anyway, so as you'll notice, I'm missing a few things. These are little nuances about this camera, but what you would do if you had the back on here is you would push this lever down and lift out, and then that would push that little gray tab in, and that would pop open the back. But because my button thing is broken, I have to push this down, and I have a little pen knife or tweezers and pop that piece in. And then also you'll notice here that you just lift this up, you put your fully loaded film down here, and then you put the empty roll there. It's just a quick swap there. On the side here as well, you can select whatever lens you're using to make sure that the focus is accurate. Since I'm shooting with an 80, I have it selected on the 80, but there's also a 65, a 55, 105, 135, 180, and a 250 lens option. The important thing to remember here as well is that while it's saying 80, that is an 80 for medium format, and that actually kind of equates to something like a 50mm lens for a normal 35mm. To change lenses, or just to take the lens off for a cleaning, you move that over to here, and that will put a little block up. So you can do this when you have film in it, and then you're going to push down on that, move it over, pull it up, and then you can take the lens out as such. And here you can see the blades right there and the body. So I'm gonna put that back on. There's a flash sync port right there. If you have a cable, you can do that. And there's a cold shoe right here that you can use. And then also they do have handle attachments on the bottom that have the cold shoe that you can mount to. You can mount a flash unit too. So on the side here, you have this little wheel and wheel here, and these are the focusing wheels. You got this little mechanism here which locks that in place. So if you lift that up, it will make it a little bit more free to focus. And this has built-in focusing bellows, so you can get really close and do some really good macro photography. If you lift up the top here, you'll see when I lock the lens in place, that red will come down because it will not allow you to shoot anything. Unlock it and good to go. But as you can see as well, there's this black line, and basically what that denotes is that anything below that line will be in frame, anything above that will not be in frame. Because you're so focused in, what you're seeing through this lens is not going to be taken through this lens. It's a matter of perspective, basically. I've not had too many issues with that, though. It's just, you know, I usually don't take anything that crazy focus, but you can see as soon as you kind of begin to zoom in that line begins to appear. So it's just something to keep in mind to get your framing right, but it's always important to lock that into place. And then basically to put this down, clip the sides and do that. Lift up, and then if you push in, get a little magnifier and push that down, and then you're good. To take this off, there's a little screw right here in the back. So you unscrew that, it lifts up and out like so, and then you can put on a pentaprism if you have one, or just shoot it without anything. Whatever your prerogative is. On the side here, you have your advance lever, and then you also have a single and multi-exposure selector. Got a frame counter there, which is not going to work because I don't have the back on. There's a little hole here, so you can have this slide down for a nice low profile look. There's a locking mechanism, which I use religiously because I always like to advance my cameras. But I always like to lock this just to make sure I don't accidentally take a picture of like my hip or, you know, the ground that's out of focus. So on the front here, you have this switch and this, and these are your two alternate firing options. This one is threaded, so you can use a shutter release cable. This one is not. I prefer to use this one just because typically I'm holding it something like this, and that just is easier for me. So that is it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed. Really not much else to say. If you want any more information about this, I'll be making a video where I put new light seals on the back and do a little bit more detailed cleaning and stuff like that. So I'll probably go over some more of the finer points and what the professional S here means. But for now, I think I'll just leave it there. So thanks for watching, and catch you on the next one.